Well, the Supreme Court is very concerned over the Trump tariffs. They're starting to listen to arguments, and it may not be good. They actually may overturn this, and then there's a whole issue about paying countries back. This is going to be interesting. We're going to dive into this, and it's very important news because it affects our trade imbalances. And quite frankly, it seems like all the White House wants is to make it even, but a lot of liberals and people don't seem to understand that it's insanely uneven and how it is going to destroy the U.S. economy if gone unchecked for too long. All right. Oh, man. Ninja's notes got messed up. You know, this is what happens when you go live and you use Scotch tape from China. All right, we're just gonna roll with it because this crap's important. All right, let's read this all together. Supreme Court appeared deeply concerned Wednesday with President Donald Trump's reliance on a vague federal law to impose government global tariffs, with several members of the court's conservative wing picking apart the administration's position in a case that would have sweeping implications on the economy. I don't know if people have been paying attention, but it's already having sweeping consequences. During more than 2.5 hours of argument in one of the most important economic cases to reach the high court in years, Chief Justice John Roberts and several of his fellow conservatives pointedly questioned the administration on its contention that this has the power to levy the tariffs and the duties are a form of regulation. So, here are some of the arguments. The arguments were lengthy, but some signals about how the justices are thinking in the appeal were clear almost immediately. Roberts, who is without a question the key vote, noted that in the 1970s law the administration has relied on to levy the tariffs has never before been used for that purpose. Now, honestly, we've been getting reamed by other countries for as long as the 1970s. Type yes or no if you agree with that. It says here, and this is Roberts, correct me if I'm wrong on this, or if I'm not right about it, Roberts said, but the justification is being used for a power to impose tariffs on any product from any country in any amount for any length of time. It says at one point, Roberts said the basis for that claim seems to be misfit. It says here, Kavanaugh is now focusing on Nixon. Justice Brett Kavanaugh emerged as perhaps the most important and hardest to read justice on Wednesday. Trump's second nominee to the Supreme Court repeatedly returned to an argument the Trump administration raised about Nixon in 1971. Nixon imposed a 10% tariff on all imports, which the administration later justified under the Trading with the Enemy Act as a precursor to the IEEPA. Notably, that law used identical language to give the president authority to regulate imports. A federal court upheld Nixon's tariffs, and Congress enacted the IEEPA with the understanding that it had done so. Sauer's argument is that if Congress had a problem with the president's imposing tariffs based on the regulate language, it would have adjusted those words when it enacted the IEEPA. Now, what's really interesting here is, think about this. It says here, President Nixon, and this is from Kavanaugh, President Nixon announced those tariffs in a nationwide primetime speech, 10% tariffs across the board in August of 1971. It was not some kind of little piece of paper, so it was well known. Kavanaugh pressed Neil Katyal, the veteran Supreme Court attorney representing the small and medium-sized businesses challenging the law. He says here, the question, Kavanaugh said, of Congress is, why didn't they change the language? Why didn't they say regulate but not tariffs? The point is, if we do not get this under control now, this is that short-term pain for long-term gain scenario. We are going to find ourselves in a world of hurt. Now, I believe that short-term pain is going to be painful going into this next year, okay? Markets are riled, and they should be. Yet the stock market still keeps going up because I believe that we are in a moment of irrational exuberance. People that think that markets can only go up. You know, we've seen two massive crises in just the last 20 years. the housing crash and that bubble, that the Great Recession, which it caused a massive injection of money into the markets. Then we saw COVID, which again, mini crash, massive injection into the markets of liquidity, but on top of that, ultra low rates. So it begs the question, do people actually have a true grip on what real economics is? You know, you could be 75 or 80 years old, and sure, some people remember what it was like and why we are where we are. But a majority of people, they don't remember what happened a handful of years ago because they suffer from normalcy bias. Now, watch. I mean, if I said something like, hey, type one, if you remember truly how it was before the housing bubble crisis or even the dot-com crisis, it was a different world, right? Type one, if you're like, I remember that. But you have to understand this. That's not the norm. So you've got to consider the masses are sheep running in. Now, if all of this, what I'm saying, doesn't make sense, well, stick around and hit the subscribe button and watch, because you're going to see some massive moves in the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ in January, because a lot of bad data is about to hit them from what happened on the 10th of October. And it's even piling up. We're already starting to see companies on the stock market sit there and give lower than good guidance. And sure, lots of them, what they're going to do is they're going to delay and blame. They're going to delay the inevitable truth, right, of what's going on in their markets or their company. They're going to blame the tariffs, and then they're going to turn around and hopefully not watch your stock detonate in January. So banks are already getting ready to go risk off. They already sort of are, because rates are rising. People's credit scores are messed up. This is really having a profound effect. So what I would suggest is you take a stance of sitting back, not engaging in the economy, not going all in on stocks. I know we've still got another run up on crypto coming up soon. We may even see a slight, like I said, I called the top on gold, the intermediary top, the near-term top on silver and gold. I said it's going to come down. It's already come down 10%. It may pop up. I said $60 silver, $5,000 gold. And then at the same time, with all kinds of markets, you're going to see them starting to tank. I hope you got something out of this. I think these are the most exciting times to be alive as an investor. Remember, as everything is haywire and people don't know which way's up, they're going to start to lose their financial minds, and you'll be able to go and pick up the pieces and go absolutely crush it. Before you know it, I'm sure a year from now, I'll be hearing about some of you buying up companies or sales for pennies on the dollar, cheap real estate. Shoot, I just saw a house the other day that I'm looking at. They dropped the price 30% in one of the richest places in the country, and they're not even going to sell it for that. So they're going to have to take another 20% off, and then the ninja's going to buy it and remodel it, and you'll be able to see those videos. Because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm picking up high-end luxury homes and remodeling them. I don't know why I'm doing it. I still like remodeling. But it's also hard to find a good contractor, or not contractor, tradesman that have that craft of really wanting to do it right, you know? I got an awesome contractor. All right, that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.